Hey guys, how are you doing today?
Well, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Chris Prickett, the head coach at Niagara top team, as well as wrestling coach at Brock University, and then Jasmine Jasudavicius, 4-0 strawweight MMA fighter and 3-0 boxer. So my first question for you guys is, how do you two meet?
I'd say co-head coach at Niagara
Co-head
Top Team. I
coach,
got
yeah,
a business partner there, Matt DeMarc Antonio.
my
So
bad.
together we run the team, and Jazz helps out as well. Yeah, how we met? Yeah, kind of a funny story actually. It was July 1st, so like fireworks,
Okay.
and I was going down to like check out the fireworks with a couple friends, and ended up meeting Jazz there, and she was like, well, I guess you can
Yeah.
tell the story because
So
you're like your side of the story.
one of my friends, she like called me and she's like, "Oh, hey, let's go watch fireworks down in Port Saluzzi." And like I didn't want to go. I was like super tired, and then but she's like, "Come on, please. I really want to go see them." So then I'm just like, "Okay, fine, I'll go." And then so she picks me up, and then we get down there, and we're like walking towards the beach for the fireworks, and then she's like, "Yeah, so I've been like talking to this guy on Tinder," and I'm like, yeah, that's why you wanted me to come. You just didn't want to go alone to meet this guy." And then so
And I
like
was like in the same situation. I didn't know that one of my friends was like meeting up with a girl on Tinder. He kind of just threw it at us like last second too. He's like, "Oh yeah, some girl
Okay.
from Tinder I met is gonna meet up with us." I was like, "Okay, that's random, but
yeah.
whatever." And then so yeah, Jazz kind of got dragged into that situation, and that's how we met. And we ended up
Nice.
like hanging out or whatever, and then that's how it started.
Cool. And then a question for Jazz. So you've competed in wrestling, MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, all different martial arts. What was your first martial art, and when did you start?
I kind of started everything all at once. The first one I ever competed in was wrestling. It was Canada Cup, and
Okay,
that was like the first competition that I did for martial arts. But I kind of started it all at the same time.
okay, nice. So is mixed martial arts your favorite out of all of them so far?
Yeah, for sure. It's like the
Nice,
purest form, I think.
cool. And then a question for Chris. So you've had a 20 year wrestling career, and that started when you were 9 years old. When did you first transition to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA?
Probably like I don't know. It was a very like gradual thing. Like I started like dabbling in jujitsu, working with my good buddy Jason Sago back in the Guelph days. So he was like training wrestling at the university, and he was just kind of trying to learn takedowns and takedown defense and stuff for martial arts himself. And so that's how I met him. And then he was just asking to get some extra working with the wrestling and stuff. And he just was always so keen to learn wrestling. So I was showing him some stuff on the side here and there. And then just, eventually he asked me to be in his corner for one of his fights. And I was like, oh my God, I'm cornering like an MMA fight. This is crazy. So I want to really make sure the techniques I'm showing them like apply to MMA. So I
Yeah.
started learning about like jujitsu first and making sure I'm not like showing them a high crotch and staying on the one leg and getting caught in a guillotine and stuff like that. We just kind of like started playing back and forth with ideas. And I mean, feel like kind of old saying back then, but really like back then there wasn't a ton of like what's right and wrong from the transitional side of things. So we were just experimenting with stuff, and that's kind of how I got into it. I just started learning, and then I would show them something and be like, oh, but what about if they do this? And we just basically started like playing around with situations, wrestling / jujitsu. So I'd say that was like around, started playing around it maybe like around 2009, 2010.
Okay, nice.
And then once I was done wrestling in 2012, so like around 2000, end of 2012, 2013 is when I started like getting into jujitsu a lot more, and then eventually MMA.
Okay. And when did you compete first?
In jujitsu,
Yeah.
um, probably I think 2012 I did a tournament actually, like right after like nationals that year, maybe that summer. I competed in a tournament right away. I actually, my first tournament in jiu-jitsu I wore wrestling shoes.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, I was one of those guys. Like I had no idea really what I was doing outside of like, get a takedown and don't get stuck.
How did the tournament go?
It went good. I won.
Nice.
I won that tournament.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then question for
So
Jasmine.
that's always good.
Could you tell me a bit about your experience training and fighting in Thailand?
Yeah, so that was crazy. So it's funny because Jason Sago, the one that he was talking about, was there coaching, and
Okay.
so that's how I kind of like got hooked up into all of this. So I went there. I was there for like a little over 3 weeks, I think it was, and it was crazy. Like it was like twice a day, and we'd have to like run before and after every practice, and like practices were super intense, and it was like the most exhausted that I've ever been, but
Yeah.
like it's super fulfilling, and I highly recommend it to anyone who like is into MMA or like whatever, kickboxing, whatever you're into kind of thing. It's just like a really cool experience. And then like food is good. Thailand's sick. I'd definitely go back even if I wasn't like fighting or anything like that, just for a vacation, because it's like really interesting place. And yeah, I really loved it.
Yeah, kind of talking about, we just talked about Sago like twice here. One thing that I learned like really early on from him, and how his whole like martial arts journey became, and like GSP kind of has that similar philosophy, but it's like learn each discipline in its core, in its purest form, and then blend it together in MMA. And I feel like that's something that has been like, that we've really tried to do with her career. So again, Thailand, to learn Muay Thai, that's like what hockey's like here, similar to like wrestling in Russia. So trying to learn each sport, and that's like the mecca for Muay Thai, right? So such a great experience. And I mean, it's kind of funny, you went to Thailand, you learned, practice Muay Thai there. We went to Russia, so you got to wrestle there. I mean, that's the best way to do it, right? Learn from the best and the people that specialize in those disciplines. And when she's working on her boxing, she works with like boxing specialists, and then we blend it all together. Kind of, that's the idea. So
nice. And you're training in Phuket, right?
Yeah, I was in Phuket. Yeah.
Nice. And what gym were you training out of?
It was called Absolute.
Okay, nice. And you had one.
Where'd you go? You went to Thailand, right?
Yeah, so I went to FA Group in Bangkok, and then I went to Diamond Muay Thai, and then I also went to so Diamond Muay Thai was Koh Phangan, and then I also went to Lampang with John Burklerk. I think his gym's just called Burklerk Gym.
Yeah. No, it's like pretty cost effective once you get there, right? Like the flight, I think, was like the most expensive thing, and then once you're there, like food's so cheap, and training is like relatively cheap too. So
for sure. And so you just had the one fight there?
Yeah, I just fought once. It was like I was training for like 2 weeks, and then one of the trainers like, "Oh, do you want to fight?" And then I'm like, "Okay, like what weight or what's a like when kind of thing." And then he's like, looks me up and down. He's like, "Okay, you fight next weekend." I'm like,
yeah, it's so casual there. They're just always ready to fight, and as opposed to North America where it's like you have a full camp and you have
they don't taper or anything.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Training right up.
And how did the fight go?
It was good. I won first round, and it was, I mean, against like a Thai girl, and they're doing it for the money. It wasn't.
Then you drop her with a leg kick. Like,
yeah,
you end up finishing her with low kicks. So.
Oh, nice. Beat them at their own game.
Yeah.
So having watched all your fights and sparred you in the past, I know you really like to work the body, both with your punches and your clinch knees. How would you say like your Muay Thai experience kind of influenced your game plan and like your clinching?
Well, it's funny because before I went to Thailand, I didn't really like. I mean, I worked on it like a little bit and stuff, but I didn't really like dabble into it too much. And then when I was there, one of the trainers, he would just like grab me every day and just like beat the fuck out of me in the clinch. Like not obviously like smashing me with elbows and stuff, but he's like laying in knees. Like that, it was hard to me. Obviously it wasn't hard for him. But then like just like feeling kind of like the power that you have with in that clinch. And then it's nice because I mixed it with like the wrestling. And then I don't know, I really like it. It's pretty sick, and I like going to the body.
No, she's a natural, like, she got like natural Thai blood or something in her, because even like
the first
her first fight she ever did, she was like just so natural to go to the knees to the body, and she finished her first opponent with knees to the body. We'd never even like
choke, but
you dropped her and then you choked her, but literally we never even worked that technique, and she just went to it in her first fight, and now you finished, I think you have like 3 finishes via knees, or like, I mean, you'll end up finishing them some other way, but like you throw the knee strikes a lot, and same thing with the elbows. So it's just like something that
comes natural.
Yeah, comes natural. And almost like you probably worked more straight maybe it's pretty close now, but like you worked a lot more straight boxing and wrestling and stuff, but the knees and the elbows just come out naturally for us. So.
Yeah, when I was in at FA
You've
group.
started before, you know what the body shots feel like.
Oh yeah.
I had to look away a few times.
Yeah, in Bangkok when I was at FA group, like the biggest difference I found between North America and Muay Thai and actually in Thailand is like just the clinch game and like how much they work on the clinch. At FA group, like they would start off every session with like 30 to 45 minutes just straight clinch sparring of like for both sessions. So that's like a huge part out there. But I find that it was such a weird transition for me going from Muay Thai to wrestling, because it's like so different. You can only have the one hand on the head, and you have to have your, like Muay Thai, you kind of want to have your hips in when you're clinch fighting, but like you need to be way bent over for wrestling. It's a weird transition for sure.
Yeah, and that's why like we again go back to like learning each discipline, because each discipline has its like strengths and stuff, but also its weaknesses. And for sure, like a Thai fighter is one of the easiest stand-up styles to take down, because the hips are forward, which is quite different than wrestling where you want the hips back. So, but for sure, the Thai clinch, man, it's nasty. Like I've never been hit with an elbow, but I've seen like people get hit with elbows like up close and in person, and I don't know, like watching it on TV versus actually seeing that stuff live, it's fucking scary. Like the transition from amateur MMA to pro MMA is like such a huge jump just because of the elbows to the face. I don't know. I could see like you got to be a different breed to be able to throw elbows and land elbows to the face. It's just
like you have to accept that you're in range to take an elbow when you're giving an elbow.
For sure.
There's almost
I got long. I think because I'm so long here, that's why I feel safe.
Yeah, it's almost like a sport within the sport, like the elbow game. Like one of our coaches, Lyndon Whitlock, he talks about it a lot. But like the elbows in the clinch, it's just, man, you got to be a bit of a different breed to like stand in the clinch range and be able to throw elbows and like accept that you're in that range to get hit with elbows too. Like it's crazy.
But I haven't fought in like 2 years, but my last fight I got like split open like right here with a down elbow.
Tomahawk.
Yeah, tomahawk elbow. Yeah, it's scary stuff. Anyways, you were talking about George St. Pierre a bit earlier. I just noticed going through your Instagram, I saw a video. You guys are like marker sparring. I was just wondering how you guys got connected and what your like training experience together is.
So for me, it's a bit different than him, because he actually like got to work with him and do a lot more. I just did the marker sparring with him.
Okay.
Like
you came to his private gym and everything.
But,
like I met George like years back when I was competing and wrestling and stuff, and I went to Montreal, and that's when I first met him. And then we've been to Montreal a couple times since. And so when we're there and he's there, we get work in and stuff. So that was just like, I think it was after practice one time.
At the markers?
Yeah, the marker sparring.
Yeah. It was after practice. Like
he had like a messed up eye. I think he had a messed up eye or something.
Yeah, he was wearing he's wearing like some goggles I saw.
Yeah, like he couldn't do real sparring because he had like something wrong with his eye.
Like
so that's why we had the goggles on and everything. And you don't want to get a marker in the eye. But, so he just had like different methods of training, and that was one of the things that he was doing.
Okay.
But no, whenever like, and then he invited us to his like his private training layer, and it was like,
Yeah.
we had to drive. It was like some rural area. Like I was like, where are we going? And then you pull up, and it's just like a big shed. It looks like nothing from the outside, and then you go in, and there's like
his like belt is there. His, like
state of the art.
Toilet touch screen.
Yeah,
and shit
like
that.
It was crazy.
Nice.
You go in, there was like a alarm system, like a red light across.
Yeah.
Like it was really cool. So
Actually, I have the video of you guys marker sparring.
Right?
I'll pull the video up of you guys
What's
marker sparring. I have the video of you guys marker sparring. I'll pull it up.
Oh, you can do that, eh?
Yeah. Hopefully. I didn't try it last time, but okay. Sorry, 1 second.
Careful, you're going through your internet history there. You're gonna.
Yeah. There you go. Nice. And then another thing I saw on your page was just like kind of breaking down the yin yang symbol. And I thought this was like a really good thing to talk about now, just with everything going on in the world. It's talking about like, here's the good, here's the bad, here's the bad in the good, and here's the good in the bad. So I was just kind of wondering, first off, what's your involvement with like the youth shelter? And then also, how have you guys been kind of finding the good within the bad with this whole COVID-19 situation?
So that's like from a youth homeless shelter. It's called the Raft. I worked there for like, I think probably like 9 years, something like that. So first I was like volunteering there, and then I went on relief staff, and then I was full time for a while, and then I started competing and fighting and stuff, and then so I went back down to just relief staff, and then now it's just like with training, it's just completely full time and fighting. So I don't work there anymore, but I still highly recommend people donate their food, like dishes, any clothing, especially all that kind of stuff. Send it to the Raft. It's like right by the bus terminal downtown. They're awesome people there, and they help out a lot. But yeah, finding the good within the bad is like we're making the best of it right now, because like luckily we are still able to train. There's like a very small group of us that kind of only are in contact with each other, and so we're still doing at least one session a day. A lot of time we're doing 2 sessions a day, so it's kind of nice because we actually get to recover in between instead of like having to be running classes or whatever. I mean, of course it's going to be way better once we can get back to it, but we're making the best out of it right now, of course.
Nice. Yeah, because I know you guys are usually like crazy busy. Like just to have you guys have the time to be on the podcast, like that's one plus for me anyways with the whole quarantine. I know usually probably be too busy. Also like just the podcast in general, like that's something I've been talking about doing for years, but now that I have all this time off, it's a good time to do it. People have time to listen, people have time to come on. Anyways, I know it's like a really tough time for gym owners especially. What is your guys' kind of plan moving forward, and how are you adapting to the whole situation?
Yeah, so like literally during the time of this like break, we had our 1-year anniversary of since we opened, and it like before that it was like a year of planning and getting everything going. So it's been like almost 2 years probably since we started this journey, and we just got to a point where the gym was like self-sustaining, and we were even able to start like paying things off and paying ourselves and stuff like right before this whole thing happened. So it was a little bit it's been a big blow, but at the same sense, like it's been a nice time for like us to kind of like reflect and just do a lot of things that we haven't had the time to do with like the inner workings of the gym and just kind of planning for the future. So
Nice.
But as far as like us sustaining, we we got like a little bit of break on the rent for the time being.
And
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, our members at the gym, like, maybe everybody says this, but we really do have the best like team at Niagara Top Team. Like, the members are amazing. So many people have been so supportive. So many people are like continuing to pay their memberships even though we're closed, and they like insist, and it's just crazy the support that we've got. So we're gonna be okay. Like, it's definitely gonna be a big hit for us, and it's gonna set us back as far as like our memberships and everything, and we're gonna have to kind of crawl back from this, but we're gonna be okay. We'll get through it, and like, I hope that when this all like settles and everything, people aren't gonna be like afraid to train and be in contact once we get the okay. That's kind of our one fear. But
Yeah.
As far as like the pro team and like Jazz is, you know, these guys are doing the work. They're not like letting off the gas. Like, it's just, you got to adjust your training. But like GSP's got an eye injury, finds a way to get training in. We find a way. Like, if there's a will, there's a way. So
Yeah.
we'll get through it.
Yeah. Martial arts are all about adapting anyways, so it's good.
Yeah.
To a more lighthearted topic, I noticed that you walk out to Sweat by Inner Circle. What is it about that song that kind of gets you ready to fight, and why did you choose that song as your walkout song?
Tell the truth.
So it's funny. It was like one night I was driving home from the raft after like a shift, and you get off at midnight, and then by the time you do shift change and all that, it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning almost. And I was like just listening to the radio. I was driving home, and the song came on. I'm like, you know what, this would actually be like a sick walkout song. And then I started like listening to it more, and I'm like, wait a minute, the words to this song are like, because it has such like a upbeat, good, like kind of like feel to the music, but then you listen to the words and it's like kind of questionable, I guess you could say. That, and so I'm like, all right, I like the contrast that I got going on here. And then so I was like kind of humming and hawing about it for a bit, and then every time I'd listen to it, it would like kind of like set in more and more and more that I'm like, yeah, this is a sick walkout song.
Nice. And what kind of thoughts are going through your mind as you're making that walkout to the cage?
Like the actual walk, like when I'm in the back, I'm like thinking about it and just trying to like stay warm and stuff. But when I'm actually walking out, I don't think I'm really thinking. I'm almost just like kind
Present.
of present, and like accepting that I'm just like going into the cage and I'm about to fight, and I'm just like, all right, this is happening kind of thing. I'm like, I can't, I'm sure I'm thinking something, but I can't like actively think about what I'm thinking about.
Nice. And then a question for Chris. In the past, you told me how your different fighters require different pre-fight activities. Like, I forget which fighter, but one of your fighters likes to play chess, like when he's like day before, night before. And it just kind of varies based on personalities. How do you kind of determine what's the best way for each fighter to kind of mentally prepare?
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's individual, and I think a lot of it is getting to know the athlete. Like you're talking about, like playing chess. My buddy Mitch Gagnon, we played a bunch of chess before his last UFC fight. Like that was like at that point in his career, he kind of already knew what he had to do. Where younger athletes, they don't really know. So it's just individual. Like I feel the biggest thing, and I learned this from Marty, is huge. Is like, no matter what happens, like when you go out there and you're about to step in the cage or you're about to step on the mat, there's no more like faking it or anything like that. Like, so the more you can kind of replicate that intensity in practice and put yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable, then the more comfortable you can kind of be getting in there. So that's one big thing. And yeah, the other thing is just where they want to go. Like some people don't want to talk a lot. You can get a feel. Like Jazz does, like, she's, I don't know if it's natural or what it is, but she prepares really well for the fight on her own. Like I don't need to talk to her. I don't need to talk about her feelings. I don't need to go through the whole game plan. Like she's set. She's not like you can't talk to her, but she's got it down. Where other people maybe you got to like just put things in perspective for them a little bit more, and hey, everything's good, you've done the work, and kind of talk them through it. But it's a feel thing. Like each fighter is different. Like I feel like the more prepared the fighter is, though, the easier the job is the day of the fight. That's one thing for sure I noticed.
Nice. And Jazz, do you have any like kind of pre-fight rituals that you like to do?
Not really. Like, I mean, there's like certain things that I kind of like do leading up. I'm like making sure that like my diet's good, my training's good, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's not like any specific thing. It seems like every fight there's like a little bit of like a different thing that I almost like kind of get stuck on.
You like getting smacked around a little bit before you fight, like
yeah, I like
shots and stuff.
Like my last fight for the CFFC, like Vlad and Aaron were there, and I had like Vlad warmed me up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, kick my body a little bit, so because you get that like pump on kind of thing, or get that. And so he started like kicking me. It was like literally 2 minutes before we were walking down, and I saw him like look at Aaron because I'm like harder. I'm like, you gotta kick me harder, and then he like looked at Aaron. He's like I don't know if I should be doing this, kind of thing. And then so he was like still kicking the same amount, but I like kind of like pushed my body into him so that I would feel like that, like it gets you like pumped up. So yeah,
Nice.
I like a little bit of that.
Nice. And so you fought on so many different promotions for different martial arts. You fought Parabellum, Canada Cup, Wrestling Nationals, all different fight promotions. What's been your favorite fight promotion to compete on?
You know what? That honestly, I haven't had a bad experience on any fight promotions. Like they've all been sick. I really like the one in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It was called Cage Titans. That was like the hardest fight of my career and all that.
That was like the 5-rounder one, right? Or the 3-rounder, right? Like it went the distance?
Yeah, it's 3 rounds, but it was like we were like swinging the whole time.
It's like in a phone booth.
Yeah, and like we were all fucked up after stuff. It was nuts. But that I really like that organization. We stayed at my manager Matt Dodge. He's got a place in Cape Cod, and so he let us like stay at his place there. And so it was like just like the perfect fight weekend. We were right by the water, so we went out and like checked out the water like on fight day, and we had like awesome food. The promotion was sick. Like the guys that ran it, like they were super accommodating, and it was like a cool venue. Like there's nothing bad I could say about it. Honestly, that was probably the most fun weekend, but I haven't had a bad experience in all honesty. So it's really hard to choose. And it was sick fighting for BTC because it was like hometown. So
yeah,
it was, I don't know. It's so hard. There's positives about everything.
Okay. And speaking of, do you mind if I show the clip from your BTC fight?
Yeah, go for it.
Because it's a pretty crazy fight.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it?
Here we go. Here we go
Yeah, there it is.
The center of the cage, but Jasmine Jasudavicius eats a couple shots and delivers a nice kick right to the body. A lot of feinting from Ricker early on.
Ooh, nice head kick by Jazz.
Jazz with a big head kick.
It's pretty choppy. I don't know if it's choppy on your end, but
yeah, it might be choppy when I can see it fine on mine, but probably the recording might be.
Right to the ribs.
All right, you get the point.
Yeah, good fight. Anyway, so what's the next goal for you guys both in your careers?
Well, hopefully this COVID thing clears up quick and I can get on a card like sooner than later. There's been like talk about the Dana White Contender Series, so hopefully that, or I don't know, whatever, we'll see.
And for you, Chris?
just get back to coaching at Brock. Miss everybody at Brock, all the athletes. Like it's so strange going from like seeing you guys like twice a day or once or twice a day year round to like not having any contact with anyone on the team. And I'm not like a big texter or anything like that either. Like I keep up with, you know, people through the social media, but I haven't really like been in contact with anyone from the team. So just looking forward to getting back to coaching at Brock and looking forward to getting coaching back at Niagara Top team, everyone from Parabellum. As far as goals, we have some business goals and stuff and have some personal goals, but really a big one for me right now is getting some of these guys into the UFC. Jazz is right on the cusp to fight in the UFC. Anthony Romero is right on the cusp. Aaron Jeffries is right there too. So we got like 3 guys that are, you know, right there, and then some of the guys from Parabellum too, like Scott Hudson. In the sense that these guys are, you know, that's what I want to do is get these guys fighting in the biggest promotions, and then we have, you know, wrestlers getting ready for the Olympics and however that's going to all pan out. But we got more qualifying tournaments in coming up. We had the Pan Ams, but we have more qualifying tournaments coming up there, and just getting back to that. You know, got a lot of amateur fighters looking to debut potentially this year, taking their first amateur fight. So all that stuff, that's what I look forward to.
Cool. So for the Olympics being moved, does that mean people that like didn't qualify at the Pan Am qualifiers now will have like a second chance to qualify, or how does that work?
The Pan Ams, that was just like not even the first step, but that was like one of the steps to qualify. So there's other qualification tournaments that they'll get to compete in to qualify still.
Okay, sweet. And what's been your proudest moment as an athlete and your proudest moment as a coach?
Ooh, good question. Proudest moment as a coach?
I saw you posted something about like when Kira
Yeah, I was literally just gonna say that. Like, proudest moment as a coach was probably like seeing my daughter like compete in a competition, and not that she won it, and that was cool, but just how she like handled it. Like, it was so fucking cute that, I don't know, she came out and like you could tell she was so nervous, but she was like courageous, and that was something I thought was so cool to see, like my child have like courage and be brave to go out there and do something that she was clearly uncomfortable. And then when she won, she showed like respect and went over and shook the hand, you know, like, so, you know, and when she went out there, she gave it her best. And these are the things as a coach, like, it sounds corny, but that's actually all you want. You want someone that's willing to work hard and dedicate themselves to something and see through something that they say they're going to do, you know, show courage and stuff like that when it comes down to it. And then be respectful and thankful and stuff after the competition, and be humble. So to see my own child do that and like go through that whole procedure of that whole I don't know, that was really cool. I could almost tear up if I keep talking about it, so I won't.
Yeah. Do you think
and
she'll
as
want
an
to?
athlete, what's that?
I was gonna say, do you think she'll want to kind of follow in your guys' footsteps and become like a wrestler or a fighter?
Yeah, like I could send you some videos. Like, she loves it. She shadow boxes at home. She does like her own stance drills and sprawls, and she'll always want to like mess around and like we fight, and she throws like hard punches and stuff. Like, she loves it right now, but whatever she chooses to do is what she wants to do. I feel like she has it in her, so
yeah, I've seen
I could see her getting into it pretty hard.
She has a pretty nasty head kick. I saw you guys you holding pads for her. Well, like just your hands one time.
Yeah, just some hand pads.
I think it was a Christmas party or something, or one of the.
Yeah, like Jazz and D-Marks run like the kids program along with some other people that help, and I jump in once in a while. But that's like a product of like our kids program. I don't really coach her too much. Like, I show her things around the house and stuff, but that's mostly like Jazz and D-Marks, and then the other people that help at the gym. Like, we got a young kid, Cam, who's like helps out with the kids program. Aiden, Tisha, we have lots of help. Jared helps out. Cody, lots of people help out with that kids program, and it's like cool to see that develop. You know, I love working with the pros and stuff. Obviously, that's kind of, I mean, that's originally why I got into like coaching martial arts. But now that I'm like have a gym and everything, and I get to see kids and like how influential you can be, and how it can like be a positive thing for kids getting in martial arts, and not just like, it's not just about fighting in a cage. Like 99.9% of people, I don't think fighting is for them, but like what you can learn through the practice and the discipline and all that stuff, that's what it's about. So
Yeah.
you know, you learn that stuff as you get older. But I still love the fighting, and I love the wrestling and the competition. But like I said, it's not for everybody. So
Yeah. Either way, it's a
proudest
great.
moment as an athlete, I honestly I couldn't even really think of one. Like, I don't know.
No worries.
Maybe
but
like one of like my first nationals or something was pretty cool.
how old were you when you won your first nationals?
2000, like first senior nationals was 2008, so I would have been 25.
Okay.
24.
And then Jazz, you came second in nationals too, as well, right?
Yeah, but it was like non-Olympic weight class and 3 people in the weight, so it doesn't really count.
Still an accomplishment, anyways. But yeah, like you were saying earlier, I agree. It's like, even if you're not wanting to become a fighter, I think martial arts are like one of the best mediums for self-development. You're learning discipline, courage, all those things you're talking about. So either way, if you want to fight or not, it's still something people should put their kids in at a young age, I think, personally.
Yeah. It's way more fun than running on a treadmill or lifting weights too. That's what I find.
Exactly.
Like, I'm kind of forced to do some of that stuff now. You know, with the quarantine and stuff, I'm not able to get in there as much. So like, I've been forcing myself to try to get on the bike and do the cardio that way. But I would way rather like do a jiu-jitsu practice to get my like fitness in, rather than just like, you know, being running on the treadmill or lifting weights. I like grappling or striking. It's way more fun. That's the way I look at it.
Nice. How do you guys feel about the whole UFC Fight Island 249 thing? Pretty sweet.
I hope.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any fights in particular you're most excited for?
I'm hoping she gets a short notice fight.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
He's 4-0. Maybe they call her in. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
But obviously, like anything with Khabib or Tony Ferguson or McGregor, any of those. Gaethje, any of those fights, like, could be huge.
I'm looking forward to the Cejudo and Cruz fight. That's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah. I downloaded like Dominic Cruz has like free footwork drills right now. Like you just like sign up for it and they get like emailed to you every day. It's pretty sick.
Okay, nice. And then I guess that's about all the questions I have for you guys today. You guys want to maybe say your social media handles if people want to follow you? No, all good.
No, follow Niagara Top Team. Follow, I guess, I don't know, Brock Wrestling. I guess we could always get more people.
Sweet. And then, one other thing I wanted to end off with. I know you guys have your like Collie kind of startup company with the. Do you mind if I show your commercial to finish off?
Sure. We haven't really had time to work at that. We're all been kind of busy, but yeah.
Cool. Sweet. So thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate it a lot. And hopefully I get to see you guys soon and get some more training in.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks for having us on.
No worries.
And then tomorrow, Jenny and I are going to the fabric store to pick up these great linens.
What's the thread count on them, like 600? Nobody cares! You're here to watch MMA, not talk about your sheets! Just want to have fun.
What do we have?
MMA is nothing. Drinks, boys?
3 pints.
I have something for you.
Collies. They're fake cauliflower ears to support your favorite fighter. They're for the ultimate fan.
It's the fingerprint of a fighter. I have more for everyone.
Cool. So thanks for listening today, guys. See ya.